The ticking of the clock is particularly clear in the silence of the night. I sat alone in the study, facing the computer screen page after page of real estate sales reports, but the heart has long drifted to a faraway place. The coffee in my hand was cold and hot, but I didn't even realize it. Unconsciously, the sky outside the window is already dawn. A new day will begin. I sighed and rubbed my sore eyes. How many times had I worked all night this month? I can't even count. Since I was promoted to senior manager last year, the company's business has skyrocketed, and I've had to spend more time than ever dealing with the increasingly competitive marketplace. Meanwhile, my relationship with my wife, Bella, has been deteriorating. Bella, the woman I love, we have been together for more than 10 years. Her face is still so beautiful that the years don't seem to have left any marks on it. But I clearly remember how long it has been since we last talked like lovers. Honey, I might have to work late tonight, so go to sleep. This seems to have become one of the most common words I say to her. Whenever I saw Bella's disappointed eyes, my heart would ache, but in a flash it would be drowned out by the mountains of work. I knew that I was losing her little by little, but I felt powerless to do anything about it. I still vaguely remember the scene of our first acquaintance. I had just graduated from the university and came to this unfamiliar city with a lot of enthusiasm. At an alumni party, I met Bella. My eyes were immediately attracted by her gentle and quiet temperament, and I plucked up the courage to talk to her. I did not expect to see the same thing. From then on, we began a sweet relationship until we entered the marriage hall. The days of our marriage were filled with the aroma of food. Bella always made our home cozy and chic, and during the festivals, her handmade dishes always made me salivate. We used to look at the sea view of Santiago side by side on the balcony and think about our future life. We were so carefree and believed that love can conquer all. But as I put more and more effort into my career, Bella became more and more reticent. Our conversations were no longer easy and pleasant, but filled with awkward silences. Occasionally, Bella would tell me that she was lonely and wanted me to be there for her, but I always used the excuse that I was too busy to do so. Gradually, she stopped opening up to me, and I didn't realize the darkness hidden under her calm exterior. When the subprime mortgage crisis broke out that year, a large number of properties were seized and the market plummeted. In order to maintain the operation of the company, I had to pay more than before. I went out early and came home late, even overnight. Gradually, my wife's birthday, wedding anniversary, I often miss. I know that this cannot go on, but the current predicament puts me in a dilemma, physically and mentally exhausted. I couldn't help but shiver as the hazy morning light poured into the room through the gaps in the curtains. Somehow, I suddenly remembered the time when we fell in love years ago. At that time, even though I was struggling to make ends meet, I would always find time to accompany Bella, even if it was just wandering around in the streets. It would make us feel extremely happy and satisfied. But now, when living conditions have improved, our hearts have drifted apart, and we can no longer experience the joy we felt at the beginning. When I think of this, my nose is sore, and an inexplicable sadness rushes to my heart. I turned off the computer and quietly walked into the bedroom, where Bella was curled up under the covers, sleeping uneasily, with a frown on her face, as if she was having a nightmare. I gently lay down beside her, wanting to embrace her in my arms, but realized that I had long been rusty on how to be intimate with my wife. As I looked at Bella's thin, haggard face, a strong sense of guilt washed over me. I couldn't help but ask myself, was I right or wrong to treat her this way? I knew that I couldn't go on like this. I had to start focusing on our marriage again, on my wife's feelings, and even if I was busy at work, I had to make time to make up for what I owed her. I gently pulled the hair from Bella's face and placed a kiss on her forehead. I secretly vowed that from tomorrow onwards, I would make changes to rekindle the flame of our marriage. Outside the window, the sun was rising and a new day had begun. I closed my eyes and prayed in my heart that it wouldn't be too late, that our relationship could be salvaged, and that Bella, my dear wife, we wouldn't just drift apart, would we? When I stepped into my office in the morning, my heart was still heavy. Last night's reflection had made me doubt myself like never before, and I knew that if I didn't take action to save my marriage, it would really be too late. Hey, Rodney, what's with the sad face this early in the morning? Eddie, a colleague from across the desk, said in a teasing voice. As one of the top salesmen in the company, he always had a dodgy look on his face. I forced a smile and didn't answer. All I could think about now was Bella's thin face, and I didn't have the heart to joke with him. The morning meeting was long and tedious. I was drowsy and full of trivialities. Suddenly, the buzzing of my cell phone woke me up. It was a text message from Bella. "Are you free for lunch? I want to talk to you." I was stunned. This is the first time in a while she took the initiative to ask me out. I quickly replied, "Okay, see you at the usual place." I spent the morning absent-mindedly looking forward to meeting Bella. When I arrived at the restaurant we always go to, Bella was already there waiting for me. She wore a light blue dress today, fresh and elegant, and I felt like I was seeing that bright-eyed girl again. "Bella, how have you been?" I asked cautiously, afraid I'd say the wrong thing and upset her. "Same old, same old." Bella smiled faintly, with a searching look in her eyes. "You, on the other hand, seem to be very busy lately?" A wave of guilt washed over me. I opened my mouth, but I didn't know what to say in my defense. "I'm sorry, honey. I know I've been neglecting you lately." I held her hand and said earnestly, "From today onwards, I will change and spend more time with you." Bella looked up at me with a mixture of relief and more skepticism. "I hope it's not just talk," she murmured. "Trust me, this time it's serious. Tomorrow's the weekend. Why don't we go to the beach, just like old times?" I asked tentatively. Bella's eyes widened in surprise, and she nodded happily. I was touched by the sparkle in her eyes. I vowed to honor my promise and rebuild our relationship. When I came back to the office, Eddie told me the bad news. In order to win the big project in Santa Fe, the company decided to work overtime and continuously. I was in a pit of ice, and I was devastated. Thinking of Bella's disappointed expression, I had the idea of quitting for the first time. But reason told me that the company was in a critical period. I could not retreat at this juncture. But I was also unwilling to make Bella sad again. I was in a dilemma, in and out of the dilemma. For the next few weeks, I worked around the clock, running both to the office and home. I tried my best to make time for Bella, even if it was just a phone call or a bouquet of flowers. I wanted her to feel that I was thinking of her all the time. Bella's mood gradually improved, and our relationship slowly warmed up. One night, when Bella snuggled up in my arms and gazed at me with tender eyes, I suddenly realized that maybe we hadn't come to the end of the road. Maybe there was still hope for our love. Just when I thought things were looking up, the unexpected happened. That afternoon, I went to Bella's office to pick her up from work as usual. When I saw her walk out of the door from afar, I froze. I saw a handsome young man walking alongside her, talking and laughing, seemingly very close. My heart clenched. Who was that man? Why is he so familiar with Bella? An intense jealousy and uneasiness engulfed me instantly. When Bella approached me and saw my somber face, she was visibly startled and a little flustered. "Rodney, what are you doing here?" "Who is he?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Oh, this is Edison, the new CFO of the company." Bella introduced him as if nothing had happened. "He's very nice and enthusiastic about his work." I looked at Edison suspiciously. He looked a few years younger than me. He was a good-looking guy. He had a good demeanor, and when he stood with Bella, there was something about him that just didn't make sense. A wave of inexplicable panic welled up in my heart. I cannot help but think, if the pursuit of Bella is a man like him, not me, the result will not be the same. On the way home, I was silent, and Bella seemed to recognize the difference and comforted me with a soft voice. "Honey, don't worry. Edison and I are just co-workers. We were just discussing work today." I forced a smile and nodded perfunctorily. But my heart is like a big stone. How can not relax? The man called Edison, with his gorgeous eyes, always made me feel uneasy. I intuited that he would be a threat to my marriage. In the following days, I was always on the lookout for that Edison man. Whenever I was free, I would go around Bella's company, fearing that I would miss any clues. But to my dismay, Bella and Edison seemed to be in contact more and more frequently. A few times, I saw them laughing and chatting at the cafe near the office, and once, Edison even opened the car door for Bella. My heart sank a little. I didn't think of confronting Bella directly, but I was afraid that my suspicion would hurt her. afraid that my image in her heart would collapse. I vaguely realized that perhaps it was my neglect that pushed Bella to another man. It was another sleepless night. I tossed and turned, and images of Bella and Edison together kept popping into my head. I was tormented, as if an invisible hand was gripping me by the throat. Outside the window, the San Diego night sky shimmered with stars that seemed to be mocking me for being a disillusioned husband. I collapsed on the bed. My heart was like ashes. Could it be that my relationship with Bella for more than 10 years is going to be destroyed like this? Is it? I can only stand by and watch my wife and other men fall in love with each other? Thinking of this, I cannot help but a burst of despair. No, I can't just give up. I had to take action to defend my marriage and get my wife back. Even if it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, I couldn't just sit back and let another man take the love of my life. I secretly made up my mind that from tomorrow onwards, I would pay close attention to Bella's every move and look for signs that she was cheating on me. At the same time, I have to reflect on myself, change myself, and become the good husband that makes her fall in love with me. I want to prove with my actions that I, Rodney, am the most suitable person for her to spend her life with. At dawn, as the first rays of the morning sun poured into the bedroom, I gently kissed a sleeping Bella. For the next week, I secretly investigated Bella and Edison's relationship, looking for evidence of their private dealings. I went through Bella's cell phone bills, checked her credit card records, and even hired a private investigator to track them down. However, I found nothing. On the surface, they were just normal co-workers. This made me a little relieved, but also vaguely uneasy. I had a hunch that there was more to them than meets the eye. I began to reflect on my behavior. Was I preserving the marriage, or was I destroying the trust that had been so hard to build up between the two of us? I remembered the sad look in Bella's eyes and became more and more frightened. I knew that I had to take action as soon as possible to win back Bella's heart, even if the price was to let go of my own face and pride. That morning, I woke up early, prepared a hearty breakfast for Bella, and placed a bouquet of fresh lilies on the table. When Bella came into the dining room with sleepy eyes and saw this scene, she obviously froze, and a look of disbelief appeared on her face. "Honey, what's going on? Did you finally remember what day it is?" Bella asked half-jokingly, with a hint of anticipation in her voice. My heart was pounding, and I quickly searched my mind for the special significance of the day. Suddenly, it dawned on me that today was our wedding anniversary. Oh my God! I had forgotten such an important day. I laughed awkwardly and said with some deliberation, "I'm sorry, honey. I've been so busy lately. My brain is a little short. But I promise we'll celebrate tonight, just the two of us." Bella stared at me for a while, as if judging the sincerity of my words. Finally, she sighed helplessly, sat down at the table, picked up a slice of toast, and smiled a little reluctantly. "I hope you won't forget again." I sat down across from her and gently held her hand. "I know this time let you suffer. Please believe me. I have been working hard. Just give me a little more time. We will be as good as before." Bella's eyes softened and a faint smile appeared at the corners of her mouth. "I'll wait," she whispered. We ate breakfast in silence, the atmosphere of rare harmony. I peeked at my wife. Her elegant and calm look still makes my heart flutter. At that moment, I secretly vowed to cherish the person in front of me, can no longer let her lonely. I went to work with great expectations while planning for the evening. I want to take Bella to her favorite French restaurant, have a romantic candlelight dinner, and then go to the beach for a walk to find the sweetness of the past. When the night is quiet, I want to give her the diamond necklace that I have been treasuring and tell her how important she is in my heart. When I think of this, the corner of my mouth cannot help but spread a happy smile. However, the unexpected always comes so suddenly. In the evening, I received a call from Bella, who sounded a bit panicked. "Dear, the company has a temporary entertainment. May have to come back later. You eat first. Do not wait for me." My heart sank. "But today is our anniversary. Didn't you promise to spend it with me?" I said in a sour tone. The phone was silent for a few seconds, and then came Bella's tired voice. "I'm sorry, I don't want to, but this client is too important. I really can't put it off. Don't be angry. Let's celebrate some other day. Okay?" My nose is sore. I don't know what to say. So, take care of yourself, I said in a muffled voice. I said in a muffled voice, Bella answered hurriedly and hung up the phone. I was sitting in front of my desk in a daze. My heart was like a mess. Bella used to attach the greatest importance to our anniversary. No matter how busy, always arrange everything in advance, and I have a sweet world. But now, she let me off the hook for a client. Is she really too busy? Or, there are other hidden reasons? Thinking of this, my heart cannot help but a pain. I left the office and wandered the streets alone. The lights were on, and the night in Santiago was romantic, but I didn't feel like enjoying it. I walked aimlessly, my thoughts in disarray. In the cafe down the street, couples whispered intimately and sweetly, a stark contrast to me. Before I knew it, I was near Bella's office. I was about to turn around and leave when suddenly a familiar figure caught my eye. I stared in disbelief at what I saw. I saw Bella and Edison walking out of the door of the company, talking and laughing, looking very close to each other. What shocked me even more was that Bella was holding Edison's arm, as if she was enjoying his company. I felt so dizzy, I could barely stand up. What's all this? What was all this about? Didn't Bella say she had a dinner party? But why was Edison there? Are they attending together? Or was the so-called dinner party just a front? Suspicion clouded my heart, and I could no longer remain calm. I followed them by mistake, trying to find out what they were up to. I saw them arrive at a high-class restaurant and took a seat under the guidance of the waiter. I held my breath and watched their every move through the floor-to-ceiling glass windows. Under the candlelight, Bella and Edison were laughing and smiling, and Edison reached out to touch the back of Bella's hand from time to time, and Bella didn't avoid it. Seeing this scene, my eyes almost turned red, and a wave of anger went straight to the top of my head. How I want to rush in, grab Edison's collar, and ask for an explanation. But reason told me that I must be calm. I wanted to catch them on something substantial, not just a rumor that would give Bella a chance to cry foul. I held back my anger and waited outside the restaurant. Finally, after a long ordeal, they got up and left. I was amazed and followed them. They did not drive away, but walked to a nearby park. I wondered what they were doing in the park at this hour. I stayed discreetly in the shadows, staring at the two of them. As they slowed down on the moonlit path, Edison suddenly stopped and turned to face Bella, gazing at her with burning eyes. I couldn't help but hold my breath, sensing that something big was about to happen. Sure enough, the next second, Edison suddenly swept over Bella's waist and kissed her on the lips. My heart instantly went cold, as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. I shuddered at the scene in front of me, as if I had lost all feeling in my limbs. I waited desperately for Bella's reaction, hoping that she would break free from his embrace and give that despicable man a slap in the face. However, to my dismay, instead of pushing Edison away, Bella closed her eyes and reveled in the kiss. At that moment, my world collapsed. I couldn't believe that the woman I had loved for more than 10 years, the wife I regarded as a treasure, was cheating on me behind my back. A huge grief and humiliation swept through my body. I could hardly breathe. I disheveled against the tree trunk. Tears gushed out uncontrollably. My heart was dripping blood and wailing, Bella, how could you do this to me? How can you do this to me, Bella? Is our relationship so fragile in your heart? I don't remember how I got home. As I huddled in the darkness of the living room, staring at Bella's wedding picture that used to be framed on the wall, a deep despair engulfed me. I clutched the evidence in my hand, the photo I had taken of them kissing, as if clutching my broken heart. Outside the window, rain poured down, lightning and thunder. I looked numbly at that beautiful but cruel face, heart like a knife. Our more than 10 years of feelings, so ruined? My love for you, so you wantonly trampled on? I cannot believe, I do not want to face, but in front of the fact, but like a sharp knife will be my heart thousand cuts. Suddenly, there was the sound of the door lock turning. I shuddered and got up, turning my back to the door, and Bella came in softly, probably because she didn't want to wake me up. Honey, I'm home, she said softly, apologizing in her tone. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, She suddenly paused, as if sensing a strange atmosphere. Rodney, what's wrong with you? I didn't answer, I just turned around slowly and stared at her, my eyes somber and sad. Bella was taken aback by the look in my eyes and couldn't speak. I sneered and slowly raised the photo in my hand. I'm asking you, what's going on? My voice shook with anger. Bella's face instantly turned white, and she stammered and stammered for words. At that moment, I was certain that our marriage had come to an end. Rodney, let me explain. It's not what you think, Bella said shakily, tears starting to gather in her eyes. I sneered, furious. What else is there to explain? Doesn't this photo speak for itself? You went out with another man behind my back and kissed him in public. How can you argue? Bella flinched, seemingly startled by my anger. She shook her head eagerly, choking back a sob. No, Rodney, you've got it all wrong. There's really nothing going on between Edison and I. It was just an accident. Accident? I asked pointedly. So you're trying to say that you accidentally stepped on a banana peel, fell into his arms, and your lips just accidentally collided? Jesus, Bella. What am I? 3 years old. Bella was speechless and pale. Only after a long time did she falter and say, Rodney, do you love me? I froze. I didn't think she'd ask that out of the blue. Does it matter? What matters is, did you love me during our marriage? If you did love me, why would you do such a thing? Bella was sobbing and crying like a pig. Please, believe me. I love you. I never wanted to betray you. It's just that you've been so cold to me all this time. And I've felt so lonely and insecure, and Edison's been so good to me. And he's been so willing to listen to my troubles, and I've just gotten carried away. So, it's all my fault? I laughed. I made you go to another man? Did I force you to betray our marriage? I got more and more agitated. My throat felt like it was on fire. Bella, marriage is not a child's play. Coldness can be communicated, loneliness can be told, but you chose the easiest way, to cheat. Have you thought about my feelings? Have you ever thought about how sad and painful I would be? Bella looked at me helplessly, tears blurring her eyes. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I didn't handle our relationship well. Give me a chance, I swear. I'll cut off my relationship with Edison completely, and you'll be the only one in my heart from now on, okay? I closed my eyes and felt a stab of fatigue. Bella's words, I had longed to hear. But now, everything had changed. This belated confession could not heal the wounds in my heart. No, Bella, we're done, I said numbly. I loved you so much and you trampled on my heart. I can't forgive you. I can't trust you anymore. I want a divorce. No, Rodney, don't. Bella cried hysterically. You can't leave me. I can't live without you. Please, just give me another chance. I really know I'm wrong. I looked at her coldly. Once, I would have ached for every tear. But now, I felt nothing but disappointment and weariness. I'm sorry, Bella. I've made up my mind. This marriage, we are both too tired. Instead of continuing to torture each other, let go of each other. Bella looked at me as if she didn't recognize me. She staggered back a few steps, fell on the sofa, shook uncontrollably, and broke down and cried. I turned my face away from her, unable to look at her in such a fragile state. I took a deep breath, striding into the bedroom, began to pack their own luggage. I know, I must leave this sad place as soon as possible, otherwise, I will drown in the bitter memories. When I finished packing, I dragged my suitcase out of the bedroom, and Bella was still sitting on the couch, staring blankly ahead. I stopped at the door and took a last deep look at her. The beautiful memories of more than 10 years came to my mind, and my eyes couldn't help but get a little moist. But I know, let bygones be bygones, even the most beautiful dream will wake up eventually. Bella, take care, I said softly, pulled open the door without looking back, and walked out without looking back. Behind me, Bella's heartbreaking cries echoed for a long time, and my heart, too, was dripping blood. Divorce was soon on the agenda, and Bella tried to stop me, and even went to my parents to plead with them, but my mind was made up. I calmly handled the division of property and drafted the divorce agreement as if it was a normal business. Only late at night, when I was tossing and turning, I would let myself be immersed in sadness and think back to what Bella and I had been through. Soon the divorce was finalized and Bella came to my apartment for the last time, red-eyed and thin. "Rodney, have you really made up your mind?" she asked, choking back a sob. I nodded, my eyes firm. "Yes, it's for the best, Bella. It's time for us to move on. I hope that in the rest of your life, you'll find true happiness." Bella smiled sadly, her eyes filled with tears. "Without you, I won't have happiness anymore," she murmured, slowly turned around and left. Her back was sad and desolate. I stared blankly at her distant figure. A great sadness surged to my heart. Once, I thought we would be a match made in heaven. We'll grow old together. But I did not expect our marriage actually ended in this way. The human heart really is too difficult to grasp. At first, the sweet words of the oath of allegiance. Now think, how ridiculous and childish. In the following days, I devoted myself to work, trying to paralyze myself with busyness. But no matter how hard I tried, there was always a hidden pain in my heart. Whenever I dreamt in the middle of the night, Bella's gentle face would always appear in my mind, making me toss and turn and making it difficult for me to sleep. I know, I can't let go, can't forget. More than 10 years of feelings can't be said to break off. My coworkers saw the difference in me and came over to show their concern. Eddie patted me on the shoulder and said, "Brother, don't be too sad. Since it can't be undone, just try to look forward. I believe that one day, you will meet a better girl and regain happiness." I forced a smile. "Do not deny. I know," Eddie said, "is the truth, but I now really cannot imagine. Without Bella's life, there can be what happiness can be said. Days just like this, day by day. I walk like a corpse life, insensitive. The company's performance is growing, but my heart, but unprecedented emptiness. I began to dream frequently, and Bella was always in my dreams. She smiled, cried, reached out her hand to me, and seemed to be calling my name. Whenever I woke up, my face was full of tears and my heart felt like a knife. What's wrong with me? I'm the one who decided to let go. I'm the one who ended this relationship, but why am I so sad? Why do I miss her so much? I'm starting to wonder if I made the right decision in the first place. Should I give Bella another chance? Should I try to save the marriage?" In this way, in the endless self-doubt and reflection, I am getting thinner and thinner. Eddie could not bear to see it and asked me out for a drink. After 3 rounds of wine, I finally couldn't control myself and told him about my pain. Eddie was silent for a long time and suddenly asked me, "Rodney, do you still love Bella?" I was stunned. It was a question I'd never really thought about. Do I still love her? After so much pain and hurt, what was left of me for her? I laughed bitterly, raised my glass, and drank the liquor in one gulp. The spicy liquid slid down my throat, and my eyes became a little moist for some reason. Yes, do I still love her? If not, why am I so sad? If I didn't love her, why would I miss her day and night? If I didn't love her, why would I call out her name over and over again in my dreams? Maybe I never really let her go. Maybe I still love her deeply, but this love has been hurt to the core. I slumped back in my chair and let the tears fall freely. Eddie sighed softly at this. "Rodney, if you still love her, go talk to her. Maybe there's still hope for you." I shook my head and smiled bitterly. "No, Eddie, it's too late. We've both hurt each other. We've both betrayed our first vows. Maybe we're not meant to be together." Eddie didn't say anything, just patted me on the shoulder silently. That night, I was in a bar and I was drunk as hell. Eddie had to take me home and throw me into bed, and I fell into a deep sleep, in which I saw Bella's beautiful face. I drifted off to sleep, and in the midst of the chaos, I thought I saw Bella's beautiful face. She gave me a small smile and turned away, and no matter how much I shouted, she never looked back. The next day, I woke up with a splitting headache and saw a glass of water and a painkiller at my bedside. I knew that Eddie had left them behind. I swallowed the pills in one gulp and sat on the bed for a long time. Outside the window, the sunrise is bright, the birds and flowers, but my heart, but dull. I sighed sadly and got up slowly. It was time to learn what life had thrown at me. How would I live without Bella? How was I going to face a world that had broken my heart? A few months had passed and my life was getting back on track. Work was still hectic, but I began to learn to enjoy it because it took my mind off my inner pain for a while. I moved to a new apartment and started to try to start living again. But no matter how hard I tried, Bella was always there. I often woke up in the middle of the night, seemingly back to that stormy night, back to the moment when we had a tense argument. Her sad face, her pleading eyes, all the time in the torture of my nerves. I began to wonder if my decision was too hasty. Should I give each other another chance? That day, I was working late at the office when I received a strange call. I picked it up suspiciously, and an old voice came through the receiver. "Rodney, this is Emma, Bella's mother." I was stunned, and it took me a while to find my voice. "Hello, Auntie Emma. What can I do for you?" I asked cautiously, with a vague sense of foreboding. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds, and then a sob came out. "Rodney, I know you and Bella are divorced, but something happened to her." My heart clenched and my mind went blank. "Something happened? What happened? Is she okay?" I asked incoherently, my voice shaking. Auntie Emma choked up and said, "Bella, she attempted suicide and is in the hospital." I felt the sky spinning and my ears buzzing. I trembled and covered my mouth as tears welled up uncontrollably. Oh my God, how could she have gotten so upset? It's all my fault. I pushed her to the brink of extinction. I forced down the grief in my heart and asked in a mute voice, "Which hospital is she in? I'll be right there." Hanging up the phone, I rushed to the hospital without stopping. On the way, my mind was in turmoil, and Bella's soft face kept flashing before my eyes. "God, please, make sure she's okay. I'd give anything to have her there." When I rushed into the ICU ward, the scene in front of me broke my heart. I saw Bella lying on the hospital bed with a pale face, tubes in her nose and mouth, and the instruments beside her making ear-piercing ticking noises. Auntie Emma, her eyes red and swollen, stood by the bedside and sobbed uncontrollably when she saw me. "Rodney, you're finally here," she said sadly. "The doctor said that Bella took a lot of sleeping pills, and if we had taken her to the hospital any later, I'm afraid she would have." I couldn't control myself any longer. I sat down on the floor and cried out in pain. "It's all my fault. I'm too selfish, too weak. I only care about my own feelings, but never really think about her. I said I loved her, but in the end I hurt her the most. It's all my fault." Tears blurred my eyes, and I held Bella's hand shakily, caressing her thin cheeks with pain. "I'm sorry, honey. I was wrong." I choked. "Please wake up and give me a chance to make amends, okay? I swear. I will love you with all my life and never hurt you again." The corridors of the hospital were bustling with people, as if I had nothing to do with them. I just stayed in front of Bella's bed, repenting and praying over and over again. How ironic. I once thought that running away was the best solution. But in the end, I realized that every decision I made was pushing her farther and farther away. I buried the marriage with my own hands, and I killed her with my own hands. I don't know how long it took, but Bella's fingers suddenly moved slightly. I was overjoyed and called for the doctor. Bella slowly opened her eyes, her gaze weak and confused. When she saw that it was me, tears instantly filled her eyes. "Rodney, what are you doing here?" she asked hoarsely, her eyes full of disbelief. I held her hand tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, Bella. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being selfish and weak. I failed you. I failed our marriage. I'm so sorry. I'd give anything to make it up to you. Please, give me another chance." Bella looked at me in a daze, her eyes gradually becoming clear. "But we're already divorced," she said sadly. "Didn't you say we should all move on?" I shook my head and hugged her thin body tightly. "I was wrong, darling. I don't know where I'd be without you. These days, I've come to realize how much you mean to me. I can't live without you. I can't lose you again." Bella whimpered and buried her face in my arms, her tears wetting my shirt. "I miss you too, Rodney, but I don't deserve you. I hurt you. I betrayed you. I feel ashamed to face you." I kissed away the tears on her face and said softly, "Don't be silly. It's all my fault. I ignored your feelings. I pushed you towards someone else. You deserve the best love in the world. and I will spend my life making up for that mistake. I love you, Bella. Please give me another chance, okay? Bella looked at me with tearful eyes and nodded slowly. We hugged each other tightly, tears intertwined. At this moment, all the misunderstandings, all the hurt, have been reduced to nothing. I know, we still have a long way to go. Need time to repair this relationship. But one thing I can be sure of, as long as each other around, the biggest difficulties I have no fear. After Bella was discharged from the hospital, I took a long vacation from work and focused on taking care of her at home. I did my best to give her the best care I could, making nutritious meals for her every day, taking her on trips and sleeping with her at night. After careful care, Bella's face gradually became more and more moist and her eyes became bright again. My heart is full of relief and gratitude for the changes in her. We began to communicate frequently, open up and analyze our problems. Bella confessed her loneliness and insecurity, and I realized my faults in neglecting her. We decided to make a fresh start and run the marriage with tolerance and love. I promised her that no matter how busy I was at work, I would find time to spend with her every day, even if it was just to watch a movie or have a chat. Bella also promised to tell me when she encounters problems in the future and not to suffer alone. In this way, Bella and I's relationship is getting warmer and warmer as we get along. I began to realize the true meaning of marriage, that is, mutual understanding, mutual support. Love is not something that can be achieved overnight, but something that needs to be managed with care. A year later, on our anniversary, I asked Bella to marry me all over again. I got down on one knee, held up the diamond ring I'd already prepared, and looked at her lovingly. Thank you, my darling, for accepting me as your imperfect husband. This year, because of you, I know what real happiness is. In the days to come, we will grow old together, okay? Bella nodded tearfully and kissed me on the lips. We kissed each other under the setting sun and made a vow to each other. I knew that after so many storms, our relationship would be even more indestructible. On our wedding day, we renewed our vows and kissed each other with the blessings of our friends and family. Eddie gave me a wink and a thumbs up, looking relieved. I knew that all this was a second chance given to me by God. I will never let Bella be sad or lonely again. That night, we lay in bed, fingers intertwined, talking. I stroked Bella's silky hair and said softly, "Thank you for not giving up on me, not giving up on us, honey. I swear, in the future, I will love you twice as much, spoil you, and never let you suffer half a bit." Bella smiles through her tears and buries her head in my chest. It's all in the past, Rodney, and right now, I just want to hold on to the moment and cherish you. You're everything to me, and I can't imagine being without you. I kissed her forehead lovingly and hugged her tightly. Outside the window, the moon was gentle and the stars were bright. I know that as long as we love each other, there is no difficulty that cannot be overcome. This emotional storm is the best test for us. After 1,000 sales and 1,000 hardships, we can embrace the rainbow. From now on, we will encounter many problems, and life will not be smooth. But as long as we walk hand in hand, heart to heart, we have nothing to fear. Marriage is the best place for love, isn't it? With this in mind, I looked over at Bella, whose serene sleeping face melted my heart at this moment. I gently kissed her cheek and whispered in her ear, "Good night, my love. May the rest of your life be filled with nothing but sweetness and happiness." That night, I had a dream. In my dream, Bella and I were walking along the beach, hand in hand. The setting sun gilded the sea, and seagulls swept across the sky. Everything was so quiet and peaceful. I know that our future will be as beautiful as this dream. Because of love, we met again. Because of love, we will never leave each other. I thank God for making me realize the true meaning of love. That is forgiveness, understanding, and never give up. Marriage is never a one-way journey, but requires two people to support each other hand in hand. As long as they love each other, even the biggest wounds, there will always be a day of healing. I think my story can draw to a close here. If you are wandering in the crossroads of emotion, if you have been hurt, please believe that as long as you are willing to love, there is always someone willing to accompany you to heal, accompany you to walk to a new life. Don't give up, don't despair. Perhaps true love is waiting for you around the next corner. May all suffering souls get out of the darkness soon and embrace their own happiness. After our wedding, Bella and I started a whole new life. We moved into a bright and spacious new house and started filling it with our love. We picked out furniture together, decorated the walls, planted flowers on the balcony, and the whole house came to life, just like our revitalized marriage. I began to fulfill my promise to Bella. No matter how busy I was at work, I would come home from work on time every day. Watching her busy body in the kitchen, tasting her handmade food, listening to her talk about the day's events, that kind of simple and cozy happiness was once unimaginable to me. I have also learned to open up to Bella about my inner feelings. Instead of being alone in my worries and stress, I sought her comfort and advice. When I talk to her, she always looks at me with tender eyes, caresses my face, and tells me that no matter what happens, she will always support me and love me. Bella's career took a new turn. Her paintings have gradually gained recognition in the art world, and she is often invited to participate in various exhibitions. Every time I saw her standing in front of her paintings, confidently explaining her ideas to the audience, I felt so proud of her. I know that this woman deserves the best of everything in the world. To make up for this oversight, I began to learn about Bella's art world. In my spare time, I would sit quietly in her studio and watch her paint on the canvas. I would watch her eyes, her elegant posture, and the love that welled up in my heart, and it would take my breath away. Sometimes, she would invite me to work with her, and we would sit side by side, recording each other's feelings with our brushes. I will never forget the joy of that kind of heart-to-heart. Gradually, we began to find our old rapport and passion. We would walk along the beach hand in hand like a couple in love, enjoying the afterglow of the sunset, drive to a wine estate together on weekends, savoring the aroma of the wine, or snuggle up on the sofa at home, watching an old movie, reminiscing about the past. That kind of romance and passion once made me think that it only existed in the period of love, but I never thought that it would become more and more thick and moving after going through the storms. The days passed by, ordinary and happy. Bella and I are taking care of this hard-earned relationship, giving each other the greatest tolerance and understanding. We often lament that only after loss do we know how to cherish, and only through suffering do we understand the preciousness of happiness. However, the trials of life were far from over. The year after we got back together, Bella's father died suddenly. This was a devastating blow to Bella. Her family trauma was rekindled, and she was at an emotional low point. For the first time, I was at a loss as to what to do with my grieving wife. I stayed by her side day and night, trying to make her happy, but I could not feel the pain in her heart. She often sat in front of the window, staring at some empty spot, tears slipping down quietly. Looking at her emaciated face, my heart ached like a knife. After some deep thinking, I decided to take Bella back to her childhood home, a place where she had buried so many sad memories. I know that only by facing up to the past can we move forward to the future. I will accompany her to face those traumas and heal those wounds. As soon as she stepped on the land, Bella could not control her emotions and collapsed into my arms, crying bitterly. I put my arm tightly around her thin shoulders and kissed away the tears on her face over and over again. I took her into my parents' old house, and when she saw the mottled walls and old furniture, her dusty memories awakened, and Bella stood there for a long time, caressing the remnants of those objects with a sad and frustrated look in her eyes. In the following week, I accompanied Bella to visit her parents' former friends and listen to their stories. Slowly, in the midst of each touching memory, Bella began to face up to her parents' separation and began to understand and forgive. She no longer avoids it, but gathers the courage to visit her father at the cemetery and cries in front of his tombstone, talking about her longing and regrets over the years. That evening, we took a walk along the beach and Bella snuggled in my arms, the sea breeze blowing her hair. Her face was still sad, but her eyes were much brighter. "Thank you, Rodney," she whispered. "I don't know how I would have gotten through this without you. You gave me the courage to let go and move on." I kissed her forehead and hugged her tighter. "Fool, we are husband and wife, partners for life. Your pain is my pain. How can I let you suffer alone? In the future, no matter how rough the road is, I will hold your hand and walk with you." Bella turned around and hugged me tightly, her tears wetting my lapel. At that moment, I knew that I would never let go of her hand again. Because she is the whole of my life, her happiness is my life's pursuit. We embraced each other for a long time, snuggled up to each other, heart to heart. The setting sun shed a golden color, the waves caressed the sandy beach. Everything seemed so quiet and peaceful. I know, after a long time of loss and pain, we finally found the direction of love again. No matter how many storms lie ahead, as long as we walk hand in hand, we will have no fear. Back in San Diego, Bella and I got our lives back on track. We began to plan for the future and envision a better tomorrow. We made a promise to visit the Charles River once a year to renew our vows. We would travel the world again to make up for our honeymoon, to buy a piece of land in San Diego and build a house of our own. 2. To grow old together, to watch each other's temples grow old, and our love last forever. In retrospect, I am truly grateful for this emotional storm. It made me understand the true meaning of love and taught me to tolerate and cherish. Without the pain, there would be no rebirth. As the classic line in the movie, love is inevitable. Life is inevitable twists and turns, but no matter how much experience, as long as a breath of life, as long as the dawn is still there, never give up hope. Thinking of this, I looked out of the window with gratitude. The morning sunshine poured into the room, warm and bright. I gently walked to the bedside, looking at the pillow sleeping love. Her face, with the scars left by the years, but added charm. I gently touched her face and whispered in her ear, "Good morning, my love. I wish to spend today, tomorrow, and every day afterward, hand in hand with you." Outside the window, a white dove swept across the sky, spreading its wings and flying. I know that our future will be as bright as it is, because, after the baptism of suffering, our love has been marked with the strongest brand. From now on, whether poor or rich, sick or healthy, we will be with each other, never leave each other. Until death do us part. Time flies like an arrow. 10 years have passed since my second wedding with Bella. These 10 years have been the happiest time of my life. We have worked hand in hand, and buried the trauma and pain we once felt, and regained a new life in the warmth of love. At the moment, I am standing on the balcony of my home, overlooking the streets of Santiago. The smoke was rising, the cars were passing by, and everything looked so peaceful and quiet. Behind me came Bella's light footsteps. She embraced me from behind and leaned her head on my shoulder. We just quietly snuggled, no words, only each other's heartbeat and breathing. "You know, husband, every time I see you standing here looking out over the horizon, I feel very solid and happy," Bella said softly, her tone full of love. "Thank you for your love and tolerance for me over the years. Let me regain my confidence in life." I turned and looked deep into her eyes. The years had left fine lines on her face, but added a touch of elegance and charm. "Fool, I have to thank you for accepting me as an imperfect husband. I can't imagine living the rest of my life without you. You are the best gift God has ever given me." Bella smiled sweetly. Tiptoe kissed me on the lips. We kissed like this for a long time, as if we wanted to melt all the love of these 10 years into this kiss. Over the years, our life has been dull but full of happiness. Every morning when I wake up and see the sleeping face of the person on my pillow, I feel a great satisfaction. During the day, we are busy, but at night, always find time to talk long and share each other's joys and sorrows. On weekends, we would go for a walk on the beach together and breathe in the nature. On holidays, we would drive to a wine estate for a vacation and rekindle our romance and passion. With love, we have written the poetry of life. With each other's encouragement and support, we have made great progress in our careers. I have been promoted to the top of the company and have been able to realize the dream of home ownership for more clients, while Bella's paintings have become more and more popular and are often invited to exhibitions all over the country. However, no matter how busy we are, we never forget to make time for our relationship, even if it's just a candlelight dinner or a warm hug. The little moments of life are also given a special sense of ceremony. Every wedding anniversary, we would go to the Charles River, where we were once married, to renew our vows. Looking at each other's aging faces, we always look at each other with a smile. looking back at the road we have traveled, looking forward to the future scenery. Every quarrel and conflict, we also learn to communicate frankly, with love to resolve misunderstandings. Gradually, once the pain, have become the booster of our feelings, so that love is more indestructible. Last year, we finally bought a piece of land in San Diego and started planning and building our dream home. We were personally involved in every step of the process, from drawing and design to material selection. Today, as I stand in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows and look at the beautiful house that is nearing completion, my heart swells with emotion. It's not just a house, it's a testimony of my love for Bella and me. At the moment, the sun was shining outside the window and the birds were singing. I took Bella's hand and clasped her fingers together. Honey, in these 10 years, because of you, I realized the meaning of life. Thank you for everything you've given me and for making me a better person. In the future, whether it is wind and rain or sunshine, I will hold your hand tightly and accompany you to the end of life. I love you forever. Bella smiled through her tears and leaned gently against my shoulder. You're the best gift God ever gave me, Rodney, and it's because of you that I've been able to embrace life again these past 10 years. Meeting you is the biggest blessing of my life. May we grow old hand in hand and spend every day and night together for the rest of our lives. I lovingly kissed away the tears at the corners of her eyes and hugged her tightly. I know that no matter how rough the road ahead, as long as we love each other, there is no obstacle that cannot be overcome. This emotional storm is the greatest test of God for us. Only through suffering, through life and death, can we reach the other side of happiness. Dear Bella, how many springs, summers, autumns, and winters do we have to walk hand in hand in the future? And how many times do we have to meet the little things in life together? Whether we are poor or rich, healthy or sick, we have to support each other and never give up. Thanks to fate, let me meet you. Thanks to love, let me understand life. Thinking of this, I looked out of the window with gratitude. The sun was setting like a picture, and the twilight was gentle. I took my lover's hand and murmured softly, "Good evening, my love. Let's go to a love feast together and spend our lives to renew this belated vow." Outside the window, the waves beat against the reef, splashing waves. The sound was like the call of destiny. I know, I and Bella's story just started a new chapter, because, after experiencing bitterness, we know the true meaning of happiness. It is only after parting that we understand the value of waiting. If your life has had ups and downs, also had bruises, please believe that, as long as you are willing to love with all your heart, there will always be a pair of hands will hold you tightly, accompany you through the 4 seasons of life, towards a better tomorrow. Love is never easy, but as long as you don't give up, you will see the sunshine and embrace happiness. The story of Bella and I is the best proof. So, please remember, there is no suffering that cannot be passed, there is no wound that cannot be healed. As long as the heart of hope, as long as the pouring of true love, love will always come inadvertently to give you the warmth of the long lost. My friend, I have finished my story. If it has touched you, infected you, that is my greatest comfort. May you and I be reborn in love and tempered by suffering. May all lost souls find their own home. For the rest of your life, I hope you will be as lucky as Bella and I are, to meet someone who is worth sticking to for the rest of your life, and to have a love that is engraved in your heart. Even if it hurts like hell, you have to believe that as long as you are brave enough to go on, happiness will be with you in the end. Let's give thanks for all the encounters, all the bits and pieces in this life. Grateful for every suffering, every harvest. Because only in this way, life is more precious and heavy. As Tagore said, when you miss the sun and cry, you have to miss the stars again. Friends, let's learn to love and cherish together. Let us embrace ourselves and life in love. Let us believe that happiness is in the distance, at our feet, in your heart and mine. As long as you are willing to pursue with all your heart, there will be a day when the sun will penetrate the haze, dispel the darkness, and light up the way back. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.